Hello, everyone. So we had brief introductions, but I think it would be interesting to hear your stories a little bit more in depth. So do you want to start, Felicia?
Yes,
Oh, there's a mic problem. Rytis,
Yeah, there are some mic issues.
It works?
all works now?
Okay.
Yes, perfect. So a short introduction.
Yep.
No, but so I'm Felicia, based in Stockholm, working for Peak, early stage journalistic VC fund, investing in more or less anything scalable tech. And we love entrepreneurs. We just closed our fifth fund a month ago, 125 million euros, and we are all backed by entrepreneurs, so 150 LPs in our new fund. And I heard fun facts was a thing today, and I think they mentioned that I used to be a gymnast, and I was planning on doing a handstand here to show you, but due to the mic, I wasn't allowed to do that.
Very good. And Rytis?
Hello, so thanks for inviting. Really great to be here. And I'm co-founder and CEO of Omnisend, which is a marketing automation platform for those who sell online. We help them to communicate with their existing customer base by sending emails, SMS messages, web push notifications, and collecting and publishing reviews by the product. Yeah, we almost 10 years in the market. We hit recently 50 million in ARR. We call ourselves customer funded. Yeah, you can use bootstrap term or customer funded. I mean, I will not present myself better than I am. We tried to raise, but at the initial stage, everyone said, like all the VCs on business angels said, what? Email? Come on. It's done deal. Email is going to be dead in a few years, but up until today is the most effective channel for anyone who sells online to drive retention of their customers. So yeah, that's what we do.
Cool. And my name is Moaffak. I'm currently an investor in early stage startups and some funds. My background, I'm an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, I guess. I've been in 10 companies so far. And one of the companies that kind of took off was in the fintech space. We actually spent the first 5 years bootstrapping up to 10 million in revenues. And after that, we raised funding. So I've kind of been in all sides of the table and trying to relate to the story. So basically today we're going to discuss should you bootstrap, so basically not raise funding from external sources, VCs or angels, or should you tap into that capital base? So I don't know. I'd like to hear some pros and cons. Like Felicia, why would you advise someone to raise, or what's your advice? When should one raise VC funding and when it's not suitable for someone?
I mean, to be honest, there is always a good time to raise money, in my opinion.
Yep.
And it might be that Peak is not the right fit, but it might be a fund that is specifically focused on extremely early stage or a specific vertical. But I always say that there is capital for everyone.
Yep.
And there are a lot of pros, a lot of cons, but just touch upon what you mentioned, that you tried to raise and didn't manage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, early on, it can actually be a quality stamp to show that you have investors believing in your product, because that makes customers want to try your product. So that definitely helps. But then in terms of getting experts and advisors on board early on, and I mean, you can ask someone in your network to be an advisor. But to be frank, time is money, and for them to truly spend their time with you, you might need to incentivize them by giving them some equity.
Yep. And you said that you tried to raise capital. When did you actually realize that, I don't know, screw them and let's forget the VCs and just go on our own?
VCs and PEs now at this stage. So, what, at least from my experience, what really happens, if among the audience there are early stage startups, so highly likely you're attending pitch competitions, trying to squeeze yourself into 3 minutes pitch. Funds are sending scouts to listen to your pitch, you're attending competitions, etc., etc. But at the same time, if you focus on building your product, if you focus on serving your customers, the funds will come to you. And at some point, the dynamics changed. And now every day, every single day, I receive some emails, LinkedIn messages from various kind of funds for already 5 years or even more. So, and to your point, to your question directly, when do we realize? So since the very beginning, okay, so we have no much interest from angels, VC, basically the people with money. And then we tried to focus more and more on, okay, so we can bootstrap, and we can build the product, MVP of it. We start seeing that, okay, there is a need, customers start using, we have already first paying customers, so maybe we can, if we attracted 5 paying customers, maybe we can attract 50 paying customers, maybe 500 paying customers, and we start focusing more and more on really, really early stage. And, okay, so
but can I just ask one question?
Yeah,
because
sure.
now, I mean, I do understand if I see a great team with great traction, I'm also going to run for it. But let's say the very early days,
Yes.
you don't have customers, or perhaps you have customers, but you don't have product market fit. Didn't you feel stressed to find that product market fit? Because if you raise capital, that actually also buy you some time for trial and error.
But Felicia, I think you mentioned the very good word, stress. I think that raising capital brings you equal stress than focusing on satisfying your customers' needs. And then having capital pushes you more stress. Because when you have, okay, when investors are pushing me to spend more and more and more, and I have no clue actually how to reasonably spend those money, then what happens? I start burning those money. I just waste them. Yeah, I have no clue how to properly run ads. And maybe ads do not work even for me. Maybe I'm too early with my product maturity. So I think that, raising outside capital doesn't relieve you with a stress level. And, running startup in any way, whatever path you choose, it's stressful. It's all roller coaster. I mean, even now we have 230 people, but my life is still a roller coaster. Although there are people who take care about the things. So, I would disagree.
It's another type of stress, because if we invest, we want to see things happening. But to be honest, we would never invest into a founder that has no idea what he or her would spend her money on. And that, I think, is a big important thing in the beginning, to have a plan. Not only to serve your customers, but also how will you continue to serve them? And in the beginning, you might have a feature, and you need to expand that. So I think, as a founder, it's like 5 full-time jobs. You have so many things to keep track of, and to just add one thing, and that's how to spend your money. You need to know that anyway. So I'm all about VC funding.
Yeah, you always have a plan, but usually the plan doesn't work. And
that's why you need a lot of capital, so you can iterate that plan.
That's true. And then you dilute yourself all the way to 5% of your company, and then you do Series E, and basically you realize that, okay, I have 4 or 5% of my company.
But isn't it better to have 4 or 5% of something worth $10 billion than having 50% of something worth I don't know?
Yes, but from my point of view, it's $10 billion. There are unicorns, and they're called that way for a reason, because they are pretty rare. But there are a lot of really great companies and great startups that went to 50, 100, 200 million, even 20 million, and you sell at this stage. Yeah, and then if you are diluted so much, it's basically get less. And yeah, it's one company, they made it on stage, one of our rivals or competitors to some extent, but they were sold for 115 million, and basically the founder got around 13 million out of that. I mean, it's still a lot of money, yeah? 13 million, it's okay. It changes your life. You can do nothing in your life, but at the same time, the delusion is massive. But if getting to an early stage, maybe about this, having more capital and raising a lot of money, so raising the money is a full-time job for founder, CEO usually. Half a year you spend to raise the money, to deal with all legal stuff, blah blah, all the conditions, negotiate, pitch, etc., meet hundreds of people. So if you would focus this 6 months, all those 20 hours per day on pleasing your customers, on building the best product, I think it would would create more value. So look, I'm currently investing, which is a little bit maybe as a business angel, but like in our case, we try to choose companies that are not raising institutional investment and looking for more like truly smart money. And both of my co-founder, we're investing to e-commerce enablement companies only because we do really have knowledge of this domain. And we don't invest outside because, I mean, what can we help for someone who is like health tech?
Yeah, but just one question, because also like it's very different. Like things are changing all the time. And if you were gonna start over today, would you still go for the same journey, or would you consider like venture capital?
Yeah, I would go for the same journey. So my advice for anyone who is maybe kind of in the stage and consider raising or not, go as far as you can without external investment. That would be my advice. Okay, in some industries, in some cases, maybe there's no other options. Let's say deep tech, yeah, or hardware. You have to have like hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions, even to run an R&D stage. But then if you are successful and you have a patent, global patent, etc., yeah, that's the only path. It's truly to like decacorn, yeah. But and it's inevitable to raise because otherwise you can't go anywhere. But if you are in software business, in many cases you can go quite far away without external capital and to find this product market fit. So if you find the product market fit on your own without external help of external capital, you will be in the way better position even to raise. I mean, you have product market fit, you want to scale. At that stage, you can consider raising, but then you are in way better position to negotiate your terms, not VC's terms with all the 3x liquidation preferences, etc. I mean, maybe you're not doing that.
We are indeed not doing that. I mean, the thing is, like, we are not. Even if we invest, we are not going to build the company, and it's our job to keep the founders motivated and just support. So it's super important for us that the founders are still like motivated in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So we actually don't do that. We try to be super like founder friendly, because I know some investors, they like to put in, I don't know, an external like CEO and a lot of these things. But we truly believe that it is the founders that's going to lead the company. So we are all about finding a fair solution. So we are incentivized to support like the way we do best, but the founders are still like motivated to continue to build. But also, just one question before I like forget it. If you were building in another like vertical or sector, do you still think you would have the same mindset, or can you see that there is actually verticals where like venture capital makes sense?
You know, Felicia, so I don't know much about other verticals. So, I mean, to what I said, if I am like some deep tech, hardware, so highly likely I would consider raising. If, from my point of view, in any vertical, but if you're creating a software solution, so I would go the same way, same path, yeah, not different raise. And especially, okay, so I like how you provoke me. This is a nice discussion. So, but can I provoke you back a little bit? So, your fund, what verticals do you invest in?
We invest in more or less anything scalable tech.
What tech?
Anything scalable tech.
Anything.
I would say we haven't invested in anything life science. We haven't done gaming. But as long as there is a business model, because we tend to focus a lot on like the go-to-market and the commercial parts, we trust the founders can build product and tech. And we have seen that certain business models can be applied into several like verticals. Okay.
So how much of expertise do you actually have at your fund while you invest in such a broad variety of companies and verticals?
I would say we have a lot of expertise, and that's also one of the reasons why I decided to join Peak, because our team is extremely diverse. I would say we have one of each. We have a couple of people with more like financial background. We have a couple of people coming from more like the venture builder side, a couple of people consulting, and then the majority has actually built companies themselves. So Johan, one of the founders of Peak, he built and sold 11 companies before he started Peak. So we do indeed have a lot of expertise, but we're also very humble in terms of building a company 10 years ago is not the same as building a company today. Why we have gone for the entrepreneurial backed type of business. So we have 150 LPs that we can go to for advice when we need it, when we feel that we don't have the expertise needed.
So how many people do you have at your fund? How many employees? LPs, let's leave LPs outside.
But we are 10 people in our fund.
10 people. How many companies have invested?
We have invested into approximately 60 companies to date.
Okay, so each person kind of has 6 companies in his or her portfolio.
That's correct.
Okay. Good. Maybe then you spend so much time with the companies, and maybe you truly give a lot of advice. I agree on like financing, etc. It's just general management. There could be expertise coming, but I think like specific domain, etc. There's no one who knows the best except the founder.
Indeed, I really do agree with that, and that's also why we're really looking for like founder market fit, because we cannot go in there and teach them about the industry that they're building in. It might be funds that do that. I mean, as I said in the beginning, there are funds for any type of business. There are funds that do not look for like unicorn exits, that have smaller funds. But if you have a fund above 100 million, you need that. So.
But look, Felicia, to what you say, like I talk to investors time to time. This is like an exercise, that they do. Even now, I have like once per month or so conversation just to understand the market. I get a lot of good insights as we analyze the market in general. We have analysts who do it free of charge for me. The competitive landscape, etc. Or not for me personally, but for us. And all of the investors tell exactly the same. Look, we are different to others. We are so active. We are such a good experts. We are smart money, etc., etc. Like, but the pitch is always the same. I don't know. Maybe others have different experience.
Have you heard any other fund having 150 entrepreneurs backing them?
No, I'm not. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that your fund is worse or better than others, but that's the pitch is usually exactly the same.
I do agree with you a little bit that a lot of VCs out there, it is hard to differentiate yourself.
Yes.
And I'm happy I don't have to sit in meetings saying that I'm an AI expert or I'm expert at this or that, because I'm not. That's why we have gone for the approach, building a big network, so we can actually always have someone that has the expertise. But we are always saying that.
But if you are a founder, you have the same 150 LPs in the market. You can just write a message to anyone in your country, outside your country, and it's way easier than you expect. And this is from my personal example. I mean, in many cases, if I know the expert from the domain and when I want to get advice, just reach out. You can, LinkedIn, email, find someone to do intro if they ignore you. But I mean, if you ignored it once, you write a second message, you write a third message, you write a fifth message, and you will get to the same person. And there is no need to, sacrifice 90% of your company to get to the right people to get advice.
Not 90%, but maybe 20. And also, if you reach out to the founder of, I don't know, a unicorn, if you're like 21 years old, first-time founder, and just randomly reaching out on LinkedIn, I promise you, most investors, most unicorn founders, most experts, they do not check their LinkedIn inbox. And instead, they can just ping me on WhatsApp saying...
You can buy the ticket to the conference where they speak and reach out to them. It's going to be cheaper than
or you just ping me on WhatsApp saying, hey, I need to talk to a person with this expertise.
Yes.
And I will, 2 hours later, come back with 10 people saying, which one do you think is most suitable? I will get you a meeting.
You sell so good. So it seems like the only VC or PE fund that is truly worth considering is Speak. But the sales pitch is very good. But I'm still skeptical. Look, raising outside capital means that you start focusing on satisfying the needs and fulfilling the needs of your investor, not your customer. This is who pays for the music. We have a proverb in Lithuanian, so to dry translation would be something: the one who pays the money actually orders the music. So then you have investors, they set you KPIs, they set you metrics, not your customers anymore. You start thinking and focusing how to please your investors, current and future investors, and to get another round and another round after 12 months, 18 months, etc., instead of just laser focusing on pleasing your customers. Because your customers need usually something else than your investors do. So that's why I think it's very important, and then it really helps you to focus on pleasing your customers, creating value for them, and then from that, your customers will be paying for you. And depending, again, on the vertical. In many verticals, you can sign long-term contracts. That means that you can take money 12 months in advance. That's a great investment. That's why we call ourselves not bootstrap, but customer-funded. we don't have long-term contracts, but each month, all of our customer base, which we have like more than 100,000 customers, currently they make a decision. If I believe that Omnisend will create value for me in the upcoming month, if I believe, I pay in advance. If I don't believe anymore, boom, I churn. And this is such a good pressure on the entire team to focus on your customer needs again and again, every lovely month.
But let's say you know what your customers' needs are. You have found like a great sales and like marketing motion that works, and you can see, like if you just put in like X amount of money into marketing and sales, output will explode. Would you then not like take a loan or raise some capital to actually do that?
Equity debt, a loan, I would prefer.
Would you rather take debt?
Sorry?
Would you rather take debt than equity?
Myself? For Omnisend, no. In the past, yes, I did in my previous business. It's not my first business. I failed twice with startups, and I had few like traditional business in the past, so I had debts, yeah. I had investors even in one of my startups. Yeah, with the first startup, I burned my own money. In the second, I burned investors' money. And third, made a decision not to burn money, but invest them in order to get value back.
What would you say are like the biggest like differences in terms of what you want to build with, for your customers that investor want to see, that are not like aligned?
It's just, you know, on what you focus, basically, and then so what your customers want, it really varies and depends on the vertical and the business you are. Yeah, so it's so different. Yeah, so the investors usually want to see some like vanity metrics, which allow them to guarantee that you're going to raise another round. Because your play, investors' play, is basically I invest money, and the only thing that they care to get my money back, which is okay. I mean, if I invest, I want to do this the same. It's multiply money. So basically, what is your play? To get the company to another round, to increase the valuation, to initially show the growth of your invested on paper, and then finally to get like to some secondaries, to liquidity events for yourself, and that's what you focus on. There are like those metrics are changing, but basically, you know, the growth, the money. And look, recently one of the companies which were invested as VC, and I see now that investors sometimes they have requirements which are absolutely not logical, because they look to like a second or third round in advance, and they require something. Okay, we can't do this in cap table. We can't take this angel, which is like very skilled in this industry, because there is no enough space in the cap table. Let's say, yeah, come on, but this person would be so valuable. No, but cap table is full. La 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 la. It's like this because yeah, you play your own game, and that's okay. Everybody does play your own game. And sometimes that's okay. Then sometimes there is a match, but my statement is that not always. And if you can avoid raising,
but let's focus on the customer needs then. Let's say you're an early stage startup today.
Yep.
You have some pilots, you have some early like adopters.
Yes.
And they come to you and say, we're actually going to go for a competitor of yours.
Yes.
Because we ask for this and this and that,
yes.
and they deliver it so fast. You are building too slow.
Yes.
What would you do? And you don't have the capital to build faster.
Yeah, I've done it multiple times. Yeah, that is damn painful, you know, hearing this. Yeah, competitor has, and I mean, we have a very strong competitor, like very strong. So two of our main competitors, like Klaviyo, maybe you've heard, it's one of those successful IPOs last year, or one of very few IPOs in general that happened globally. And we have MailChimp, which is like 24 years or so old company, but at the same time still like dominating the market. So competition is tough. And even up until today, I hear those messages, okay, I will churn. But when you focus on actually, there is always at any stage the cohort of customers that you can serve and for whom the value you create and the feature set you have is enough. Yeah, and then while you grow, your customers grow, and that's okay. So if you are a early stage company, and especially if you're focusing on SMB, there are a lot of small businesses that you will help. Even if you are focusing on enterprise, if you found a way to solve a pain point for them, if you are making a copycat of established existing company, so you will not succeed either way. But if you are solving the pain point, which is not being solved by others, by bigger competitors, etc., you don't have to have all the feature sets. And this is like when you trick yourself. If I will copy whatever, like Jira now, of all the features, of all capabilities, if would we be able to copy Klaviyo, like full scope? We cover like 85% maybe, but for 95% of customers, 80% of features is enough, and you should not have all the feature sets that established big companies have. And in opposite, I think it's one of the things when you trick yourself. You say, I'm going to raise I don't know, at early stage 1 million. Yeah, it would be already a big round for a seed, but I'm going to raise like 30,000 and I will catch up with my established competitor. No way. Because they invest every year maybe 5 million, maybe 10 million, maybe 50 million to improve their product. And you 30,000, you still have nothing. 0 or 30,000 is equal. If you don't find a niche problem that you solve for your customers, you will not be able to compete with established companies. Because the funds you're going to raise is still not enough.
So this is the easiest job. I don't need to do anything. I love it. We had a pre-call before this, and we were kind of seeking a kind of battle, but I'm happier than I could imagine. This is really cool. I have a couple of questions. So you've been bashing now for, I don't know, 15 minutes VCs and how crappy it is and don't take money from extra. Now you're investing yourself. How do you sell yourself as an investor? And why would I take money from you and not from her?
I don't sell myself as investor. It's we invest only in companies that reach out to us primarily for advice, because they see that potentially we know something about e-commerce, and then they start new businesses to serve e-commerce companies.
They're giving up control to you, aren't they? Because they're taking investors, as in you, into the cap table, and they're relinquishing the control.
Yes, but in our case, what we do, we say, okay, we believe in you, and we have no KPIs for them. We have no board seats, nothing. You do at your own pace.
You have vetoes?
No, nothing. We just sign convertible notes for the very beginning, for the first round. If they make a decision to fundraise later on, we are happy with that. If they will make a decision to bootstrap, we are happy, and we will stay with our 3% in their cap table or something, and that's okay. I mean, so basically what we do, that if we believe that, okay, we believe in the idea because we see the problem, because we know a little bit the industry, and we believe that, okay, this is a strong founding team, we may potentially attach to their success, but we will not rule them. And like 2 days ago, we had a dinner with one of our investment companies. I was in London then. Yeah, it's okay. We gave them advices, but will they take those or will not? This is not a board decision. There is no pressure. There is just a peer advice. So we don't promote ourselves actively. We are not pitching anyone. We are not vetoes, board seats, nothing. Just
so you're one of the few value-adding investors on this planet.
I mean, if they take value from us, maybe we add. But we barely reach out proactively to say, oh, how you doing?
Fair enough.
If they write to us, of course we meet.
So I think, you touched upon this idea that it's not just about money, it's also about other kind of advice and support to the portfolio companies and the founders. Can you, I don't know how much time we have, but how do you deal with mental kind of work-life balance, mental health issues and so on with your founders? And I'm trying to understand that side of things, because I've heard different stories from how VCs could help.
I actually met another investor yesterday, and he was telling me about this founder that apparently had some brain inflammation 6 months ago, and then recently had a stroke. And I was like, whoa. I would never invest into that person, because obviously that person can't handle work-life balance, and you need to have the energy to build for many years, but also we want to see afterwards that person is healthy. And this investor was really like, no, I like that. The darker the circles under the eyes are, the better. That means they work hard. And I was like, oh, I do not agree whatsoever. And I think that's the whole thing that also you and other founders need to understand with VCs. People say VC and refer to all funds out there, but it's day and night in terms of what we invest in, what we want to see, how we work with our founders. and also what kind of like values we stand for. So I think it's, I understand why some founders decide to bootstrap, because it's another full-time job to raise money, because you need to go out there and get to know all of the different
That's
investors.
what we agree on. That raising is full-time
that's
job.
why I want to agree now before we finish it. I'm saying there, if you want to raise capital, there is a possibility, because there is a fund out there for everyone, but you need to find the right one. Actually, that's super important. And not all investors are founder-friendly, so watch out.
Thank you. I think we need to conclude here, but I thank my panel and I thank the audience, and we can continue the conversation after this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fun.